My name is Jon Chabun, and I'm a student at BCIT. I enter the IBM building, walk past the Telus Theater, down the stairs to the CIBC Instant Teller before making my way back into the Great Hall. Gray floors, plum couches, and the bright, warm glow of the Pepsi vending machines. Of course, these machines are all over campus. You see, BCIT, the Student Association, and Pepsi have an agreement that allows BCIT to be a Pepsi-only campus. The question is, are they selling Pepsi to the students, or are they selling students to Pepsi? And is it worth the price? First stop at the far end of the Great Hall, the Student Association offices. Bit about the deal between Pepsi and the Student Association. Penelope Henriquez, Vice President of Finance for the association.
When we signed the deal, we also signed a confidentiality agreement. So I can tell you some things, and there's a lot of things I can't tell you because of that agreement. So what are you looking for exactly? And then,
Well, what can you tell me?
well, that we have an exclusivity deal with Pepsi, and that we have Pepsi exclusively on contract, and I think we've got maybe 5 years left on it, and it's a joint venture between the Student Association and BCIT.
What are the terms of the agreement?
Can't tell you that. So that, well, basically that just exclusively Pepsi products are on campus. But the nitty-gritty details, can't discuss that. We're bound by confidentiality, both us and the Institute.
Why won't the Student Association disclose the terms?
Because we signed the agreement. We could be sued if we do.
Oh, okay, then why is there an agreement?
Why is there agreement? Because Pepsi has a lot of exclusivity deals, not just with us, but they have it with other institutes as well.
What about the downside?
What downside? That we only have Pepsi on campus? Is that a downside?
Is it right for a place that encourages personal development, free thought, and criticism to groom students to guidelines set out by corporations?
That's kind of a philosophical debate, and you're probably asking the wrong person. I'm the VP of Finance, and that's more for a higher debate.
But isn't it taking the advertising out of TV, out of radio, and throwing it into our everyday lives, and isn't that a little too far?
No. By having vending machines on campus, that's taking advertising too far? No.
Why would Pepsi want to have an exclusive contract with BCIT? They're doing it to influence students, right?
No, they're not doing it to influence students. You're using the wrong word. There's not some evil plot to, convince everyone to get them addicted to Pepsi. This is not cigarettes. It's Coke. It's caffeine. You can drink it or you cannot drink it. The reason there's a confidentiality in there is because it's a contract. Lots of contracts have confidentiality clauses in them. There's no evil motivations for it. Like there's nothing behind it more than it's just business. That's all it is. Business and numbers.
There is some good out of this agreement. Programs like EcoFair, peer tutoring, and the Save Your Ass Fund have all been developed with the students in mind. We know that some of the money from the Pepsi deal goes to these programs. Of course, the confidentiality clause is a major stumbling block. How much money are we dealing with here? Second stop, up the stairs overlooking the Great Hall.
Hi there.
Hi, is this the right place? I'm looking for Neil Howard.
Yes, did you have an appointment with
Yeah,
him?
it's at 2:30. Can you tell me any terms of this agreement between Pepsi and the administration and the Student Association? Neil Howard, BCIT Administration.
I can't tell you. I'm bound by the confidentiality clause not to disclose the extent of the payment from Pepsi-Cola to BCIT and to the BCIT Association in return for them having the exclusive rights, marketing rights on campus. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you it's a 10-year agreement, but I think that's about all I can tell you.
What are the benefits to students, in your opinion?
Well, the benefits to students are that the proceeds from what they call the marketing rights, which is the payment by the soft drink company in return for exclusivity, are used by the Student Association and by the administration for such things as scholarships and bursaries, and provide services to students. So the funds are used for that purpose.
Is it right for a place that encourages personal development, free thought, and criticism to groom students to guidelines set out by corporations?
Well,
Basically, how do you justify an exclusive contract? How do you justify giving somebody a monopoly? And how do you justify allowing a corporation to take advertising and directly market a group of students?
Well, the free market prevails on this campus as it does in anywhere else. Students can drink whatever soft drink they wish. They can bring any soft drink onto campus. While they are on this campus, the only available soft drinks are Pepsi-Cola.
And the confidentiality agreement is designed to protect Pepsi.
Absolutely. It as a private organization, Pepsi does not want competition knowing how much it is paying for exclusivity.
Because I'm kind of confused by this, because I don't know how much money is being talked about. I don't know if it's 100,000. I don't know if it's 1 million. I don't know if it's a couple million.
Why do you need to know that?
I want to know how much money we're dealing with. I want to know what we're dealing with, so I want to be able to figure out its path. Where is it going? And is that worth it? Is that worth it to students?
John, I think you try to find out what the value of this deal is, and I am bound by confidentiality agreement not to be able to tell you that. So I'm sorry, but I know you're trying your damnedest to find out what the value of this is to the institute, but we can't give you that information.
No success finding out how much. It's time to take a trip from Burnaby to North Vancouver and a stop at the offices of the Capilano Courier. They've been fighting the Coke machines at Capilano College. This is an issue they're quite passionate about. This is a place for like free thought, criticism. Does this, having Coke machines, does that compromise that? Does that compromise those ideals?
Yes, it does.
Sherry Peters, editor
I
at the
know a lot
Courier.
of people would laugh at that concept, but let's look at a couple of things. One is, first of all, the Coke machines are there because we have a deal with Coca-Cola. We have a deal with Coca-Cola that's secret, or with Pepsi, that no one in the student body or faculty or public that pays the taxes to fund this place can look at, can even examine. Okay, so first off, you're at a public institution that's saying, be critical, think, and be accountable, and hold your elected officials accountable. But don't hold us accountable. So right away we have hypocrisy 101 operating at it. Then second of all, you say, well, how does the Coke machines, come into play with academic freedom, freedom of thought, critical expression? Well, one of the things that we know is absolutely true of the human being is that if you are surrounded by something, you tend to no longer notice it in a critical way. This isn't an issue like, dumping toxic waste into the river, where everybody's got it. Okay, we get it. This is really bad. This is going to come back to haunt us. Even if we don't care about that river and those fish, it's somehow going to impact on us personally. People haven't necessarily figured out how that's impacted on them personally. And the reason is because the reason they don't necessarily get why it's so, how it will impact on them personally, all students, is because it's so much part of our daily diet that we're so inundated with corporate culture, with consumerism, that we don't even see it anymore. I interviewed the head of the student union over at UBC, and she said that really student unions are getting out of being political and being activist-oriented, and they're much more into being service providers. And the example she gave was that they brought more bank machines onto campus, and this is how the student union was serving them at UBC, and she was very excited about this. I'm absolutely terrified by this. I think that one of the saddest consequences of these deals is that the one and only organized voice, other than student newspapers, on a campus for students that is supposed to be a critical voice is now been bought out by Coke. When you think about it, why the hell would Coke or Pepsi want to give money to a student union? The only reason that I can come up with is so that they won't oppose it. And it's worked. I can find out the salary of my prof. I can find out the salary of the president of this college. I can, if I wanted to, find out how much money they spent on pencils last year. But I can't find out the contents of this deal because a corporation says no. No, that's not okay. The bigger issue is, why are they in this position in the first place? And the reason they're in this position in the first place is because there's been cuts to education. Why has there been cuts to education?
My name's Darcy Stemler. I work at the Capilano Courier, and I'm the managing editor here. Well, I mean, first off, if you go to a school and your whole life you have Coca-Cola products in the school and nothing else, when you get out of school, what do you think you're going to be more likely to drink? I mean, one thing about this that I think students and, well, a major concern for, just education in general is that you're in a political science class and you're talking about sort of, child labor or, the diamond wars in Nigeria and whatnot. And, and you're talking about how these companies are involved in that. And, like Nike uses sweatshops and whatnot. And so through this political discussion in class, you're discussing, what that means. And, the teacher, and I think usually people come to the conclusion, well, that's not very cool, is it? We don't want to support that stuff. But then you walk outside, and what's there? It's Coca-Cola and, Nike posters and everything. So it's really just a hypocritical situation where, it's all, we can all be academic in the class and talk about, what the world should be like. But then as soon as we leave the class, there's reality. And the reality is that our schools are knee-deep in this stuff. Our school here, we think, from what our president has said, is that they're worth about $50,000 a year. Well, that works out to about $8.30 some odd cents per student. Now, we were talking to the owner of Jones Soda, Peter Von Stoke, I think. And he pointed out that if the schools actually just either rented or bought the vending machines themselves and stocked them themselves, they'd be making far more money than getting $8.30 per student for, basically selling out. Again, it comes back to the question is, why the hell do they need this money in the first place? Is because, we've just had one of the longest bull runs on the stock market in history. There's no money for health, there's no money for education. How can that be? We have to consciously decide that there's no money for health and education. And once we do that, when we have, companies coming in and to say, hey, we're here to save the day and to provide all these things that you cannot provide yourselves. That's really the message they're trying to send out there.
Okay. I make the trip back to BCIT in Burnaby for a meeting with Caroline Gagnon of the Student Association when I'm hit with an unexpected twist.
All right.
Hi, John.
Hi. So as a student, I'm able to examine this contract?
I don't see any reason why. You just have to put a request to us so we can provide you the information and you can come to the office and look at it.
Is it possible that I could...
You know what? I've got a big file on it.
So what's this here, this booklet you have?
This is the contract.
Okay.
So, there we go.
Oh yeah, here it
So
is
there
in the
we go.
book. Yeah.
So they've put in the.
So from January 1st, 1997 to December 31st, 1999, $306,000 per contract year. Rights fees, $295, marketing fee, $10,000, advertising fee, $1,000. Okay. And years 4 through 6, January 1st, 2000 to December 31st, 2002, $316,000 per contract year. There are 46,581 students enrolled at BCIT. The Pepsi deal is worth $316,000. That's $6.78 a student. Is that worth it? The programs it funds versus the price that is paid? And what is that price? It isn't $6.78 a student. You see, the education system is the most powerful place to influence a young person. Unfortunately, it seems that it's not a very powerful place to educate a young person. What's the cause of all this? Just a minute. What was I talking about? I'm sure it didn't matter. I'm Jon Chabun.